So let's continue with building the structure of the website in question, which was this one, vesis.com. I've already put the starting elements. We have multiple flat elements in here. I call them flat because they really don't have any height to them. They don't have any girth. We do have the recipe that we first came up with. We still have some measurements to go through, but let's get the basics done. First, I'm going to move this a little bit out of the way. I will be using it repeatedly. I'm going to make sure that I am in the CSS designer, that I have access to my styles1.css. I don't necessarily need the media. I will need my selectors and properties. So let's start with the nav bar. I'm going to click on nav bar and I'm going to look at my tag bar at the bottom. That's my navbar ID, hashtag navbar. So it's the navbar ID. Now that it's selected, it turns a different color. It's light blue. I can go to the CSS designer and in my styles.css add a new selector. Add that selector and it will select automatically navbar. I'll press enter to accept that. I'm going to go into the width and just double click on that and type in 1170. Pressing enter. The height will be 60. I'm going to click on height, double click and type in 60. And now we have our first true element. The navigation bar now shows up as being 1170 pixels wide and 60 pixels high. I will click on page header just to let Dreamweaver, that's what I'm working on, the tag selector shows up. I'll click on page header again. It turns blue. I am on styles 1 already. I'm going to add a new selector and that's going to be the page header. Press enter to accept that. I'm going to still use 1170 as the width and the height will be 570. Now although the page already knows that it's 1170 wide, or it will at least when we define the body, I'm going to just keep on telling it that every element is 1170 until it's not. I'm going to go below to section products, make sure that I select the correct tag. In my sources, add a new selector, which will be section products. Same deal. In pixels, if you want, it's 1170. And this is the product, so that is going to be 600, just like it says here. 600. Next box is done. Section services is next. Section services will be the same as the last one. I'll just click on the tag selector, add that new selector on the right, press enter to accept. I'll go with 1170. And the height will be 600. My boxes are coming along. If I get this out of the way, I'll see that the side is just kind of flowing in there. I can still make this a little bit smaller, so maybe I can see, there you go, I can now see the full extension of those divisions. Next we'll do the section blog. Select that. I'll bring back my CSS designer and add on a new selector, which will be section blog. We already know the width, 1170, and the height, according to our notes, is 810. Moving right along, we'll get to the next one, section story. Select the tag, add a new property. Story is 600 pixels wide. And we'll add a new selector, section story, which is the same width, and the height for section story is also 600, similar to some of the others. Almost down at the bottom, we have 2 to go. We have section contact. Select my tag, add a new selector, section contact rather. I'm going to keep on repeating 1170 section contact 600 is the height. Page footer, our last one. Let's do the tag selection. Add a new selector and change the properties for that one. (1170 by 160). So we have the basic elements of the site. We're going to take a look at the page and see what other elements we need to add. We need to define some space for these multiple columns, maybe some space for this one column, same thing for these two, etc., etc. I'm not going to be too concerned about the footer. When we actually recreate actual sites, we may be coming back to see how this was done. In the next video, I will be adding the code for the multiple columns used in this site.